Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and this is week 3 wrap up. This should be pretty quick because there's really not that much new stuff to cover. I did start another hypertrophy block. I'm in the lowest intensity week of that right now, just week 1 of that, and we're just going to call this week 1. If you remember from my previous video, I had reset my training so that I could add some custom exercises in and actually progress them through an entire mesocycle, which is starting this hypertrophy block. And this week is the same, where I've added a couple movements that mostly will get picked up next week. But day 1 basically consisted of pull-ups, which I really enjoy doing pull-ups before I start doing anything. But what's really unique about this is it was a lot of pull-ups. It was almost like it was a main mover, because going to a 5-day split, the idea was to reduce my single day workload. So one of the things with AI programming is it tends to take a long time, especially if you're doing 4 days a week. Unless you're moving really efficiently or you have the space to set a whole bunch of things up, it just gets really difficult. But for this, it seemed like it was goblet squat, good mornings, alternating hammer curls, calf raises, and really just kind of like a bunch of extra stuff. Going on to day 2, incline Cadillac bench. So what I'm doing with the Cadillac bench is I'm going to be taking and using the inside handles on the Cadillac incline bench. And the reason for that is it really starts to engage my triceps a lot more. And with a log clean and press coming back into my programming, I just wanted to make sure that I focused a lot on that tricep work. But after that, one of the things I added was log push press out of the rack. I'm going to be adding a log strict press out of the rack as another movement as well. After that, some incline dumbbell flies, Dick's press, which I've talked about before. And the reason I like Dick's press is because it focuses so much on that time under tension for your triceps. After that, finish with some preacher curls and some banded dead bugs. But just to be full honest, the dead bugs didn't go as planned, so my chest still hurts quite a bit. For instance, during those log push presses, it just really had a lot of pain. I'll probably go into the clinic hopefully this week. We'll see how long it takes to actually get in. But yeah, go get that checked out because I feel like it shouldn't be hurting anymore. Moving on to day 3, transformer bar low bar squats, trap bar deadlift, incline bench, leg extensions felt really good on the goat, and I really feel like I've got that dialed in. I feel like using the goat in some of the movements that I do should probably just be its own standalone video. So if you'd like to see how I set up for like a leg extension or for a leg curl, comment down below that you want to do that, and I can see about working it in. After that, some glute ham raises, which I do on my sand dune stepper, and a couple leg rollers, and finished off with some calf raises. And again, calf raises for me are just, they're kind of a staple almost in Strongman with how much pulling movements that we end up doing. It just makes a lot of sense to use a lot of calf raises. Moving on to day 4. Started off with a bench press, 245 by 5 at RPE 8.5. Again, I'm not a huge bench presser, but obviously there's a lot of benefit to bench pressing, especially when it comes to upper body strength development. After that, some chin-ups, and again, so I had pull-ups at the beginning of the week, and then chin-ups, palm facing in. After that, shrugs, incline triad press, neutral grip pull downs, which I'm using the Clever Build Atlas attachment. I have another attachment that I really enjoy using for those as well from Mike Bartow's Power Center, but the Atlas is just so light. It feels so good. That knurling is so refined on it. It's just hard for me to decide which one I like more. This week I happen to use the Atlas. And then of course I've been programming a lot of dips in because I'm reviewing the Mutant Metals Ultimate Dip attachment. Moving on to day 5 of the week, which was yesterday for me. And really short day for me. So Saturdays traditionally were kind of longer days. But deadlift 1x6, I pulled 380, and that felt really good. And what was interesting is that the deadlift for my back offsets kept on creeping up. And I finished my third set of back offsets at 365 for 6 reps, which felt really good. And then something that I did is I added camber bar squats to the actual application. So camber bar squats are not in there. But anyways, I was really trying to focus on that position in the bottom of the movement. So I added the camber bar squats back in. And also doing camber bar squats because I recently placed an order for the Arsenal Athletics Reaper bar, which is kind of a bougie camber bar, and I'm excited to get that in. But in order to get a good side-by-side reference on what traditional camber bar is and how the Reaper is, I decided to work the camber bar back into my programming. After that, I worked the Squat Max MD hip thrust back in, and those have been great as far as like a glute and hamstring movement for me. I really enjoy doing them on the Squat Max. I definitely prefer doing them on the Squat Max versus doing them with a barbell, especially since I can use bands to really kind of focus on that top end strength. Pull throughs and then ab wheels, and then just something unique, ab wheels. This is the first time in 3 weeks or about 2.5 weeks, ever since I dropped that bar back down on my chest. This is the first time I've been able to do ab wheel without just collapsing underneath the bar. Of course, the Omega Project is a great training journal. And for me, I also do running. And one of the really cool things is I love tech. I love applications, AI-based programming. I love everything that I have on my phone and wearables. However, I don't like having to go to like all these different things in order to actually show you guys what I do. Now I'm pulling up my run, which I only ran once in the last 7 days. And the reason for that is because my family, we all just kind of got sick underneath the weather. And although I was able to come out and train, I really didn't have it in me to go out and run. So I only had the one run, 54 minutes, 4.18 miles. And what was really cool is that my heart rate was right again at the top of that zone 2. And for me, I'm using a little bit of wearable data as well as that talk test to keep myself within that zone 2. Felt really good afterwards, got a really good aerobic and anaerobic effect. I also had a really nice fast sprint right at the last part of the run just to see what I could do. And just really enjoyed a 200 meter like all out sprint. But that's been it for week 3 of 2022. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next week.